Hey everyone, I'm Mind, and this is a Mega Construx Pokemon set Trainer Team Challenge. This set contains 276 pieces, 6 Pokemon, and retails for $39.99 in the US. Since this set's just a collection of Pokemon and there's like no one main build, I'm just going to be taking a look at each of the Pokemon one by one, and then at the end of the video I'll give you my thoughts on the set as a whole. So this set comes with 2 Pokemon from each of the 3 starter types, so there's 2 grass types, 2 fire types, and 2 water types. So I'll be taking a look at them in that order, starting with the grass types right here. So the first grass type in the set is Ivysaur, and I think he's one of the better ones in the set. I really like the way they did the leaves on his back here. I think the part's really cool. It represents the leaves on Ivysaur's back pretty well. But also I just love the options here. These leaves are each individually posable. You can move each of them down or move them up, and you can even rotate the entire section on his back. Below the plant, there's a little bit of printing on his back. There's just some dark teal spots, which are very accurate to like Ivysaur's actual design. And his face is really cute too. It's 3 studs wide, so it might be a little big for the size of his body. But Ivysaur does have a very, very big head in the actual games and anime and whatnot. So honestly, I think this is fairly good and pretty accurate. I like how they did the little ears coming out the back right there. And then the neck's in a ball joint, so you can move the head up, move the head down. And side to side a little bit, though, because the head's so big, he's quite limited in like how far he can move his head. But you have a few options for expression. And then his legs are also all in ball joints. They have a little spot printing just like the head and body have. No knee joints or anything on them, but he is pretty sturdy, so you can get him in quite a few different poses if you want. Like if you want him in a walking position like this, he can stand up like that. Or you could even have him lay down. An interesting part that I forgot to point out is this little bulb on his back. This is actually Mega Construx's like large fire piece recolored in like this pink color. You'll see it when we go to Charmeleon. He actually uses it as a fire piece, but it also works really well as Ivysaur's bulb, and I think it looks great. But yeah, that's about all I have to say for this guy. As a whole, I think he's really well done. Very solid. He doesn't have that awkwardness that some of the other like Mega Construx Pokemon have. Feels very much like an action figure of a Pokemon, which is what these should feel like. Yeah, I think he's done super well. He has nice posability options. I really like this guy, and he's super cute, so well done. Next we have Cacnea, who is my absolute favorite of this entire set. He is just so funny. This build represents Cacnea pretty perfectly. It looks just like him, and he just looks so goofy. He's so much fun. I adore this guy. You can see he's got this large printed circular piece at the front and a very similar one on the back, though without a face. And he's got these 2 huge arms, which are on ball joints. You can swing them around. I know in the games, like one of his animations just has him like swinging his arms when he attacks, and you can like very easily do that with him here. You have little cactus spikes coming out the ends of the arms, as well as out the sides of the head. He's got his little crown on top, which is super cute. And then his feet are just these tiny little cone pieces, which if you haven't noticed are connected to this transparent stand right here. That's because his feet are so small he can't really stand on his own. So if you put him on the stand, it allows him not only to balance, but also allows you to get him in much more dynamic poses, because each of the legs can move side to side as well. So if you want him doing like wacky little dances or whatever, the stand allows you to do that. But as a whole, I absolutely adore this guy. I think he's super well done. Definitely my favorite of this entire set, and it's actually made me appreciate just the Pokemon Cacnea more. He's just so much fun, some full personality here. I absolutely adore this guy. I'm so happy I have him. Next we move to the fire types, starting with Charmeleon. Charmeleon definitely is not as good as the other ones we looked at. He's not bad for a building toy, but he definitely seems like a building toy here. While the other ones can honestly pass as action figures that were just compatible with building toys. But yeah, this guy's blocky and awkward, and his limbs don't feel very normal. You can see that flame piece on the back of his tail. That's the same one that's used for Ivysaur's bulb. Like, that's really cool that they can use that part for 2 different reasons. Charmeleon's got this long face out the front, this little spike coming out the back of his head, big light yellow belly out the front, and of course he has lots of posability options. His arms are on ball joints, you can move these however you want, and then his hands are also on ball joints, so you can get him in a few different positions that like some of the other characters can't get in. Having these extra joints here is definitely good for play, but doesn't make him look that great. I wish there was a way to incorporate these joints in a way that didn't make his arms look all thin right here, because it definitely makes him look less organic and doesn't make him fit in with the rest as well. But he's certainly not bad. There's definitely worse ones in this set and worse ones in Mega Construx in general. But yeah, this guy just isn't my favorite. The legs are also sloped by default, which is something strange a few of these figures do. I don't mind it so much. It does make him a little awkward to balance sometimes. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting look for him. I don't know how I feel about that. And then the tail, as I mentioned, has that fire out the back, and that's on 3 individual joints. It's kind of similar how Lego Ninjago does dragons. But yeah, those can all be moved individually, so you can create some like dynamic motion in the tail. Next we have Litleo, which is definitely the worst designed one in this entire set. I really don't like this guy. I don't think he represents the Pokemon well, and I don't think he's like too great of a toy either. His head is way too big, his ears are especially way too big. Like, I know this Pokemon has big ears, but they're not this big. The head itself is very weird if you move it at all. Like, it just has this gap out the back so it could fit on top of the body. Does not feel nearly as organic as some of the other Pokemon. The ears are also on ball joints for some reason, so if you wanted, you can move them down. That's definitely not accurate to anything, but now it kind of looks like a monkey, which is interesting. Unlike Ivysaur, this guy actually does have knees, which is kind of cool. But I feel like with these Pokemon figures, the face is the most important thing to like really capture their look, and the entire head is just done so poorly on Litleo that like I can't really overlook that. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this one. I do like this little tuft of hair out the back of his tail. I'm not too familiar with Mega Constructs, I'm not sure if that's a parts reuse or something, but it works really well and it like looks good for the tail. But yeah, as a whole, this guy just seems a little too robotic, not organic enough. For sure my least favorite of this entire set. And then finally, moving to the water types, first we have Wartortle. Wartortle is one of the better ones. Not as good as Ivysaur or Cacnea, I'd say, but still pretty darn good. I like this lavender color that they use for him instead of just using like a blue. It's definitely more interesting and more accurate as well. He's got like these sky blue fins out the sides of his head, a big sky blue tail at the back too, which looks super good. This part can also be hinged and rotated if you want. So if you want to like imagine Ivysaur swimming or something, you could have it like that. But by default, when he's standing, it's just out the back like this. Wartortle uses those curved legs the same way Charmeleon does. However, unlike Charmeleon, who's a bit odd to balance on, with Wartortle, the tail at the back actually makes it so those curved legs work perfectly, because the tail holds him up at the back, the legs hold him up at the front, and it just allows for a very sturdy build. You have like this printed turtle shell at the front, the other side of the printed turtle shell out the back, and once again, just like Charmeleon, these arms have 2 joints in them. So even though they're tiny, there's still a few different ways to pose them. My only real criticism of Wartortle comes in with the top of his head right here. It's just empty, just completely empty, and I'm not sure why that is. He just has a hole there. The hole like is really distracting, and I don't think it needs to be here based on the way like these parts are put together. So yeah, I don't love that part of him, but other than that, he's a really well done Pokemon, and he's pretty perfect. I like him. And then the final Pokemon in the set is Psyduck. Psyduck is very simple, but once again, I think he's pretty well done. No elbow joints or anything. His hands are just on one ball joint right here. And his feet are just on bars, so they can be rotated out and in, but they can't be moved like up or down in any way. Head is on a bar as well, so that can also just be rotated back and forth, but no up and down or anything. And then he's got a tail at the back that's like completely static. I like this tuft of hair at the top. It reminds me of the Minions Kevin hair from Lego. This huge duckbill piece is really cool, and that can also be removed. There's a very cursed image for you all. He kind of looks like Stewie from Family Guy. But yeah, with everything connected, I think he's fairly good. One of the more limited ones in terms of posability, but in terms of looks, he's fairly well done. Similar to Wartortle, he has holes in the sides of his head this time around. Not sure why that is. I'm not sure if they just don't have any parts that could fill that in. But yeah, those look a little bit awkward. Not as bad as Wartortle. I don't mind the sides of the head as much as I mind the top of the head, but still something to like point out. But as a whole, I think this is still a fairly good one, and I like him. And then finally, not Pokemon, but still brick built, the set comes with these 3 shooters for each of the different types. I guess this is to simulate like the Pokemon using their attacks, but this is the way you can actually do it like in play. So you got 3 of these little turrets, 1 for each type. This is the water one right here. You can see it's on this TransBlue platform. You have these TransBlue like fire pieces coming out right here. And then you have this turret in the middle, which if you push down back here, shoots a little bullet out. There's what that looks like. It's just got printed water droplets at the front, and it can be reloaded back in very easily. Here's the fire one, very similar build, though the fire pieces are going backwards this time around, and they're actually fire colored. Sand at the bottom, very similar turret. This one's gray. And once again, push it out. You can shoot it. There's the design on that. It's yellow with some fireball printing. And then finally, here's the grass type one. In lieu of those fire pieces, they have leaf pieces similar to the ones on Ivysaur, though these are darker than the ones on Ivysaur. The base of this is dark green this time around. The shooter itself is tan. And the bullet itself is trans green with his razor leaf printing on top of it. And then finally, there's one last thing in this set. This isn't brick built, but it does come in the set and it's meant for you to play with it, so I thought I'd still show it. You have this little paper battle arena right here. Lego's done this a few times, though not often, where they include like little paper accessories to play with your figures with. And personally, I've never been a huge fan of it. The idea is you place your Pokemon on opposite sides of the arena to fight each other, and then like this is just a location for them to fight. And I think some people might enjoy that, but I personally think a lot of collectors won't want to display this, and a lot of kids would rather just play with it anywhere else. These things just sort of get in the way from my experience, but I appreciate the inclusion. I can just not use it if I want, but the option is still there. It just folds a little bit at the back, which allows it to stand up. And I think that's about all I have to say for the Trainer Team Challenge. Let me know what you guys thought of the set in the comments below. Personally, I think it's a mixed bag. The grass types and the water types are all pretty solid, especially the grass types, but the fire types, and Litleo more specifically, are a little rough. It's cool to get such like a diverse cast of Pokemon in one set, but I do feel perhaps the price of this set is a little bit high. If it was $30 or $35, it'd be more justifiable, and I think you could probably find it on sale for that price in a lot of places. But yeah, I think for $40 that might just be a little bit too much. I think this is a great starter set for Pokemon Mega Constructs. As somebody who doesn't have a lot of Pokemon Mega Constructs, this was a really exciting set to get, because you get the middle stage forms of all the Kanto starters, as well as 3 very unique Pokemon, though Litleo hardly counts. But Cacnea is amazing, so they sort of balance each other out. But yeah, it was really cool to get all these guys guys for my collection. The extras, being the turrets and the battlefield, I didn't personally care too much for, but I think those are definitely better for younger audiences than for me. But as a whole, I think I have a very positive opinion of the set. I just think it should be a little bit cheaper. But as I said, those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please press like and subscribe if you're new. I do videos like this every single day, so if you subscribe, you'll be the first to see them. Typically, I do LEGO reviews, but if you guys like this, I'll do more Mega Construx reviews as well. Thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you in the next one. Bye.